Mine works.
Kimberly, it's 7:30. In your seat, please. Oh, I thought you
Check.
Coming to you live from Believer City Church.
Whoop, whoop.
It's the City of Believers podcast, and the crowd goes wild.
Pew, 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 pew.
Gross 7:30. 7:30. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, baby, we live.
Okay, so I think we should get here at 7:10 next time.
Okay. Alright, I posted it. Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat.
Hey Siri.
How much time we got?
Hey Siri.
What is that?
Hey Siri. Set a 32-minute timer.
You don't have the timer app installed.
I got it.
Oh no.
Oh no.
It's okay. We had problems last time, but we eventually
That's
got
okay.
on.
We'll get through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just talked about that. How about 7:05 or 7:10?
Or we can leave the house by 6:30, 6:45. Yeah. See.
Well, good evening. Welcome
What's
to
up, y'all? What's
the City of Believers
Hi.
podcast.
Wow.
I know we are live, coming to you from BCC. How exciting is that?
Hey y'all.
Y'all doing all right today? Y'all doing all right?
Yeah.
I'm a little tired. I had some kiddos today. They
you a little
tested my
tired?
gangster. So
Okay, so we'll do that to you.
Yep. Well, first and foremost, we gotta thank everybody who tuned in last Monday.
no, seriously, you like our views are through the roof. Like we appreciate you guys so much.
Really appreciate the support.
Yes.
Shout out to my family in South Carolina. They were watching also, so I gotta shout y'all out.
That is
Love
so
y'all.
good.
from the
I love
Carolinas? All
that.
right.
Yes.
All right. Love to hear it. Love to hear it.
We do love to hear it.
So how was everybody's week? Everybody's week was good? Yeah.
My week was eventful, I would say.
Well,
Is it
it
eventful?
just started. I mean, it's
Well, last week was eventful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah.
mine was good.
True.
And church service yesterday.
Church was good.
Church was really good. I really enjoyed that.
If you missed it, you can watch that on the Facebook page of Believers in the Church, which is really good.
Y'all check it out.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
So, what we talking about today?
So today we're going to be talking about two words that people don't normally picture go together: depression and Christianity.
Y'all, we started heavy today.
We literally said
Sometimes you
welcome.
gotta start heavy because that's what brings people in.
That's real.
You're right.
That's real.
We literally said welcome and depression.
I'm
Well,
like,
I mean, if you think about it, that's just something our generation has always known. I mean, we've always been known as like the sad generation.
True. Or the depression, not depression, the generation that does not want to work, or if that's the case, I guess.
Yeah.
that's real too.
Yeah.
No, that is. And, you know, a bunch of negative Nancys want to talk about our generation, but our generations are the ones that are building the church right now. So, yeah, like Pastor Chris says, we are the future of the church. So, yeah,
I mean, it begins with us, starts with us,
it's going to end with us.
it's going to end with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of us are really, really sad, though. A lot of us are.
And it's like, man, I don't even know, like, why? Like, why are we sad?
I saw a puppy commercial and
I
The
don't know,
puppy
man. Like,
commercials?
one, people are mean, for one.
Yo!
This is mean.
Yes,
So,
people
like-
are very,
Yeah.
very mean, yo.
Yep. And just overall life can be very cool sometimes. You know, just things that you go through and then it just slaps you right in the face. And then it's just, I'm not feeling like myself, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I still have those bouts with being like a fairly new mom. I mean, I'm a first time mom. So that postpartum depression was real. And there's been studies that can go on until like your kids are like 4. Yeah, because your hormones are still balancing out. Because, depression is just a chemical imbalance in your brain. So, I mean, there are people that go through a lot of heavy things and are depressed, and there are people that go through a lot of small things and are depressed. But there's something that you don't hear the word with that is Christianity. Because we're always taught that, with God, your cup is always supposed to be full, which is sometimes not the case.
Right. It's
So-
hard to get your cup full when outside influences don't make your cup want to be full.
Yeah, the worldly influences, man, social media, work, jobs, financial problems, children.
Or really not having the right friends either.
That's a good one, yeah. Like not having the right friends, that can put a damper on you too, because not every friend is your friend.
Absolutely. And also, like,
Misery loves company.
Yeah.
yeah.
Misery loves company. Yeah,
Ooh,
because
the
sometimes,
callables?
sometimes I feel like the devil sends in people into your life that aren't really your friends, and they mask themselves, and they cause a lot of disruption and depression in your life as well. I've had a few of those friends over the years. Not my friends.
But we still praying for them, though.
We
So,
do.
yes,
I
still-
do. I pray for them. I mean, I used to not. God's working on me. I used to be like, you know what, girl, that's on you. So, but now I'm more so like, girl, God bless you.
Yep. It's Pastor
Sometimes that's all you can do. is
Yeah,
just, God
sometimes,
bless
yeah, you got to give it to God sometimes.
Work out.
I
Yeah.
pray about it, but I also love you from a distance.
Oh, for
Absolutely.
sure.
Wish you well, you know?
Yeah.
Life is hard enough.
Yeah. Well, we also just talked about depression in our Elijah
Yes.
Bible study. I do Elijah Bible study. Our last one's actually this Thursday. I'm kind of sad about it. Learned a lot. But a little backstory is that Elijah was this big, bold, like, I love God guy. And he goes through all of these trial and tribulations for like 3 years and then hits this really depressive episode. And it kind of magnified for me that even people that God used could get depressed, but it wasn't because of like everything that was thrown of him. It was because of worldly things. It was because of Jezebel saying that she was going to kill him. And just her words alone are what caused him to be like that, to the point where he prays and cries out to God, like, I don't want to live anymore. I mean, to be honest with you, I've had those prayers. I just at a point in my life where I just cried out to God, like, take me away. I can't do it anymore.
And that's real. I mean, like you said in the first episode, transparent.
Yeah.
That is so real. But I feel like when we get to those points, everything is just like pitch black. Like we don't see the other side of depression. Like there is another side of depression, which is you come out of it, you're glorious. And I don't think a lot of people talk about that side.
No, but sometimes too, there are people that are so consumed by the evilness that they don't think there is another side, and that's usually the people that succumb to the depression.
Or some people might still be fighting that battle. Because depression is a very, very long battle, for sure. Because I think I want to say I'm not fully coming out of it, but like I know for me, for sure, that battle really started since 2016 for me.
Yeah.
So especially like dealing with certain internal things
Oh yeah.
and dealing with also separation anxiety because my brother was no longer in school, so I had to like to get used to that kind of fact. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's real. And a lot of people don't talk about the transition from college to you being a full adult now.
Some people also don't talk about the transition from high school to college.
not for real.
Yeah.
There are some people that's where their depression starts, is in college, because they're away from home, all types of stuff. I mean, girl, I was down the road. And
You are in
I'm so
unfamiliar
sad.
territory.
I think I was what, an hour and a half? So
Yo,
to say?
yes.
And I still felt some type of like, 'cause I was away from my mom.
Yeah.
And that was just kind of like a routine that I had to start really trying to get the hang of. Like, I don't see my mom every day. That's weird.
I got something different. I was ready to go. I was ready to get out.
Deuces.
Yeah. that'd be-
Sometimes we ready to fly the nest.
Yeah.
God
Yep.
say you gotta go, you gotta go.
Amen to that.
But you know what really, really made me feel like the depression hit hard for me was when I failed. I'm about to be transparent. It's when I failed nursing school, and I feel like that was the point where I didn't know if I was ever gonna be the same again.
Mhm.
I
And
remember
really
that
didn't-
call.
Yeah, and I really didn't know that depression could ever even be a part of me. Because I was always that person, I was like, nah, I'm good. Like, I can handle it. Or you come from family members that show you that you're stronger than this. You got God in your life. It's all good. You don't have to worry about it. But in reality, it just brought me to a place where I was like, I don't know if I can get myself out of this. I don't know if I can pick myself up from what I've been disappointed of. So that was something that I really had to think about. Now it being 3 years later, I'm more than relieved that I was like, you know what? I found something. I found people that care about me. I found a church who's accepted me, and I found myself on the outside, on the inside of it. So yeah.
At least you got some kind of encouragement.
Yeah.
Well, I heard when I was dealing with my depression, all I heard was, you're a man. Man up.
Ooh, yeah.
Or you just need to pray more.
Yeah. Pray more. Pray
That is
harder.
the biggest form of gaslighting I will always hear.
It is, but that's what a lot of people think is that you can just pray the depression away. You can just pray the gay away. You can just pray like the sin away. I mean, you can, but ultimately, if the devil has a strong hold on you, then what's going to happen?
It's gonna happen. Yeah.
And it's one of those things that, like, yeah, you come to church, and if church is the only time that your cup is full, though, then obviously you're not doing godly things or worshiping in your free time either. You're just worshiping on Sundays.
Right. Right.
Which is, when you leave here, you don't have the worldly outlook here. Like, you don't have social media yelling at you when you're in church. You don't have your parents at home that are, yelling at you. You don't have those outside influences in the church. So yeah, your cup is always full.
Right.
But when you leave out of here, are you listening to gospel music? Are you doing devotionals? Are you worshiping? Are you praying every day? Probably not. Yeah, like there are Christian psychologists, there are Christian therapists,
Yes.
there are people that believe in the faith and can help you.
Yes.
But at the same time, God can't nourish you if you're not nourishing yourself. If you're not filling up yourself, then God can't fill you up.
Yeah, what you said, those things are very important, but I just want to point out one thing, that you need community.
Oh,
For sure.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The right community.
Yes.
Yeah, the right
You
community.
can't just have
Yeah,
any
absolutely.
community.
The right community.
Because sometimes you can walk into, I actually went to a therapist once, and her ideology of things I did not like, and I was like, this is not for me.
I'm like, you know what? I don't think I'm no longer going to need your services.
I'm gonna need my receipt, please.
Matter of fact, I want a refund.
Literally.
You're not benefiting me. I can't take this outside of my life and feel like I think in a way. So, but that's real though. That's definitely real. But what are some things that has helped you? I know for me, that's helped me out of my depression was coming to church. That really turned everything around for me. It did a complete 360 because I feel like the journey that had me fail nursing school had not let me be in the church. Had I passed and everything, I probably would have been on in another city doing nursing and only nursing. But now I feel like the journey has brought me to church to feel like, well, not to feel like, but put the pieces back together in sort of way of being me again. So, but yeah, that helped me. The church
How
did.
about you, Darius?
All right. I think for me, not only church, but also I was doing therapy for a while. I know now for sure I'm in a season in my life where it's a lot of reevaluating of a lot of like suppressed emotions. So, like I talked about in the past episode, is looking at the ugly side. So, I gotta start diving into the ugly side. It's honestly really scary, I would say.
Yeah, and then you learn to accept it. Like that's a part of me, but I'm grown now.
Yeah. So I would say, yeah, and like you, coming back to church for sure, and finding the community I am desiring. So
Mine would be coming back to church and also doing the worship team. Like, I love to sing. Y'all know that. I sing even if I don't need to. I will. Finding things that I find joy in. Like cooking, baking now. You know that I've taken up cooking. I'd be whipping it up in that kitchen.
she be cooking, y'all.
I made some spaghetti tonight. It was real good.
She did.
Um,
With the garlic knot.
I did make garlic knots.
Had like 3 of them.
You put the Parmesan in, right?
No, I didn't.
No, you did.
I forgot it. I'll put in some in the sandwich bag and just sprinkle.
Not the sandwich.
That-
I got Tupperware.
Oh, okay.
You can
Well,
just
that-
use the Tupperware.
What's what to do? Marinate
No,
the spaghetti.
No, but sometimes I feel like the devil brings in depression to steal joy from you because God is joy. God is happiness. God is going to fill you up and make you feel so good. And the devil is there to bring you down. The devil
Amen.
is there to make you feel like you don't deserve any of that. Because that was one of my biggest feelings of when I was in depression is that I don't deserve to be happy. I don't deserve I don't deserve to have these people in my life because all I feel like I'm doing is bringing them down. So by me finding things that I find joy in, like this podcast, doing my devotionals that I do, all of those things, like I have, like filling myself up with God's joy has brought me a lot more joy in my life.
I feel like now, I even tell you, like the other day, I look forward to Mondays now. Before, it was just like, it's Monday.
It's very mundane.
Yeah. not-
Mundane.
Another work week, but now I have something to look forward to. Now I'm like, it's 4 o'clock. Bye, y'all. And then just go and just do what makes me happy.
No, seriously, yeah, I get excited coming here.
I
So-
know. I used to wake up and just be like, ah!
It's another Monday.
Literally, and now, like you guys, I look forward to it. But that used to be me every day, though. Like when I didn't have my joy, like waking up was hard. Trying to get out of bed was hard. Like there were days where I wouldn't shower for like days, just because it was just too hard to like even go in there. But now, you know, I find joy in having my alone time because, you know, I have children. That is your only alone time. Can't even use the bathroom alone.
A lot of moms can relate to that right now. But that's real. I mean, I feel like finding joy just makes you shine your light and people can see your light and be like, what is she doing? She's glowing. Like something about her is like radiating. I want some of that joy too. So
Yeah.
you attract those people.
However, you got to be aware of that though, because the wrong people may be seeing that light, maybe want to steal that joy from you.
That's where your awareness has to come in.
Absolutely.
You gotta be. You can't always share everything too, because I feel like that's also how we get depressed as well. Because we're so quick to share news, and we're quick to share ideas and thoughts with people that we're not meant to share with.
Ooh, that's good. Because I've always been the type of person where I was an open book. Now I realize everybody doesn't have to know everything, every detail.
Well, and see, that's where social media comes in.
Yeah.
Everybody's real quick. I got the car. I got the job. I got pregnant. I got engaged. All of these things. Everybody's putting their business out on social media, and then you come back and you look and they've deleted the post, and it was like, why? Because they got all these hateful comments because it was not meant to be shared yet.
That's, come on.
Oh, wow. Okay. Here we go.
Nobody's heard you this whole time.
Really? I'm good? Okay. All
Welcome to our podcast.
right. Yes, welcome. Welcome. Now you can hear me. Hey,
We're
how
gonna
y'all
redo
doing?
this whole episode. I'm just kidding.
But no, that's real. Well, question for y'all too. Has anyone made you feel depressed? Or is there anyone in your life that has made you depressed?
Oh, I got a story.
But could it be like that they're not here anymore?
It could be. It
Like
could be anything.
grief? Because grief,
Yeah, grief.
can make you depressed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yes.
I mean, losing
yes.
my mom and dad put me in a real, like, you know, when I was,
Yes,
they know,
yes.
when I was in college, I lost my dad very suddenly to a heart attack. It was not expected. My dad and I weren't very close, but I was also adopted in a sense. But he was my uncle, and he'd been in my life all of my life. And it was a really hard loss. I was going to school, I was working full time, and I still hadn't grieved over my mom passing. And this was like years later. It was like 7 years later. And it's one of those that, like, when there are things that you do not deal with, you don't let God come in and help you.
Right.
It got too much for me. And there was a time where they had to come into my dorm and help me because I was ready to just be done.
And it's
I
important you have
couldn't
those
do
type
it
of
anymore.
people to get you out of that darkness and be
Yeah.
like, we can fight this fight together. You know?
So it wasn't necessarily like a person, but it was something that happened to someone that I loved very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that. What about you, Darius?
There was a few times where loss has come in, and like I made me very, very depressed. I say the most depressive moment was during college. I was in a very toxic relationship, and at first, at the beginning, the lovey-dovey stage,
Right,
we were
right.
fine.
The honeymoon phase.
The honeymoon phase quickly and went nosedive into this unwanted territory. Tons of arguing, tons of name calling. Sure. Like we did not like each other. Tons of things we saying, a lot of fighting too. So it just really brought down my spirit. And finally, over the summer, I just had enough. I had to walk away from this.
Right.
Because I actually started. Well, I always had a relationship with God, but at that moment, I was asking myself, why should you put me in this?
Right.
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 The spirit of doubt was coming over me during that time. So
Yeah, relationships can make you depressed. Like it, and without even knowing the person could actually have that potential of doing that. You know, it's kind of like I have all this love for you, and then we go through something, and then it's nosedive and deep into
losing
depression.
something you love, regardless, is hard.
Yeah,
It,
that's
or
true.
at least the idea
Yeah.
of it.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
There were a bunch of relationships that I lost where I thought it was the end of the world, but it wasn't.
yeah, that was hard. That was
It's not.
man. I was in love, man. like I,
And
you know, I had to,
now you're living.
it took me a while to actually move on.
Really?
So
Why
being that so toxic that it was, so
Well, you were single for a while.
yeah.
I think mine would have. Well, have you ever been so depressed that you have dreams that reflect depression? Like mine was, I was drowning, and I realized that like in that moment I had woken up, trying to figure out like why did I have this dream, and then my life was just basically with me being underwater of my depression, and then with that dream it had me coming up, breathing full air, and I was like, okay. I see what this is meaning. It's meaning that I'm going to go through this. I'm going to come out alive. I'm going to survive through this. So I would have to say that was kind of my picture of what I was going through of depression, was that dream. But I got through it. So, yeah.
If I had that dream, I would have woke up and wondered why I was dry.
But
Why are my clothes dry?
But I mean,
You said that like, wait a minute.
I got through it.
This is not a waterbed.
I got through it though. So that's the message. You get through it. That's the
You do.
message.
You get through it, but how do you get through it?
With the right people around you, the right resources, with a community that's fighting with you to tell you that we can go through this together. I got you. I feel like that's important, because if you don't have a community behind you, like Darius said, that it gets hard. It gets harder.
But you gotta also remember too that God is like
The main source.
The main
God,
source.
most definitely,
Yeah,
yes.
there are important things. God can bring things into your life that also help bring you out of the depression.
Yes.
But it's one of those things that, like I was saying earlier, you have to take care of you.
Yes.
If you're not taking care of you properly, God can't use you for anything.
That's true.
That's a word.
That's a word.
If your cup is empty, God can't use your cup to fill up other people.
That's true.
Absolutely.
And you can't just come in Sunday and expect God to fill your cup up if you're not doing the work outside of church.
That's true. That's
So
true.
you got to make sure that your cup is, I mean, it don't even got to be all the way
Way
full.
full,
It just got to be halfway.
There gotta be something.
Literally, because
something
at any
there.
point in time, God could be using us right now. And if our cup is empty, like if I'm sitting here talking about I'm so tired,
Yeah.
then how God can't use me for people. People are gonna think that I'm just kind of here, whereas
Right.
I'm excited to be here.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
So, but yeah, so you got to make sure that you take care of you mentally, physically, and most importantly, spiritually,
Right.
because we are always under attack as Christians.
Oh yes, most definitely.
The enemy will have his way sometimes.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
They're constantly coming with the plan to break down your spirit. For sure.
But
And depression is a really ugly one.
it
'Cause
is.
that sometimes is really hard to break away.
It
Because
is.
depression don't just affect you, like mentally. I mean, it does, but it affects your soul.
Yes.
Like,
it
have
does.
you ever been so depressed that your soul is tired?
Mm.
Like, you are
That's a word. That's a word.
tired.
Yes.
You're tired, and I mean, I was at a point after I lost some really important people in my life that I didn't think that I would lose. And when I tell you my soul was tired, like no matter what I did, I was tired. I was exhausted. Not even to the point where I needed sleep. I was tired.
That's right.
And that's really the only way that I could explain it. But when I came back into church, it was like this cloud of just doubt, despair, ugliness, sadness, madness just was gone.
Yeah.
It was one of those, like, literally those scenes where the clouds leave and the rainbow comes out and the sun is out, the birds are singing. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful scene.
Yeah.
That is
And
beautiful
it was
scene.
like me right there sitting in the chair, just, all those good things. But I mean, depression clings onto your soul. Like, the devil tries to cling onto your soul because that's what he wants.
right.
And
Yeah.
then, God over there talking about, hi-ya!
Yep.
Trying to get away.
Yes, don't touch my child.
And like you said, like depression isn't always sadness.
Right.
Like there was times
Right.
where I was depressed and I was just lashing out at everybody.
Oh yeah.
So
Sometimes it comes up in different things too.
Right. Right.
Also, straying away from God can make you depressed.
Yeah, that's a big one. And I feel like that's what happened with me, is that everything in my life was just out of place, out of order. Felt like my life was in shambles because I didn't have the main source in it all.
But then that's where I get confused, because they also preach sometimes that God will break you down to the point of no return to bring you back to Him.
Right.
So how do I know if it's God or if it's the devil trying to get me?
Right.
You know,
Right,
because at
right.
that point, when I was at that really low point where I was just really, really tired, I really think that was God, though, bringing me home. Because I was far from the church. I was not doing what I should have been doing. I was not in like a bad sense, but I wasn't praying. I wasn't doing devotionals. I wasn't tithing. I definitely wasn't going to church.
That was me.
I was in the streets, man.
Not the streets.
That's honest.
Yeah, I was definitely in the world before I came back here.
And you know what? I feel like that all our stories are different, but like you said on our last episode, that our paths are the same.
Yeah, we're all in different seasons, but
Yeah.
we're just walking the same path together.
Right, right. And I feel like that's what God intended. So,
Oh yeah.
We're all walking and growing together.
yeah.
But growing ain't gonna look pretty
Oh,
for sure.
Yeah. It's,
Growing is gonna bear its fangs at you. But I feel like the end goal is gonna be something very beautiful.
Well, it's kind of like thinking about growing plants for the first time. I don't know if you guys have ever grown plants.
nah.
I tried, but like it kind of
but
failed.
Think about it. You plant the seed, you put the soil over it, you water it, you wait. It comes this itty bitty little thing,
Yes, it does.
and then sometimes it gets ugly because you don't know if it's gonna live or die.
That's true. That's true.
Some of my plants have died. Just being honest, I do not have a green thumb.
But she takes care of her dog, so that's good.
I do.
And her son.
I do.
yes.
Those are growing fine.
Yeah.
But then at the end result, like think about fruit. Like
Oh,
when
yes.
when you grow fruit,
Yes.
sometimes that fruit look real ugly.
Yes, it does. Yes.
But then at the end, the like your prize is like a sweet strawberry or like a really good watermelon, and it's beautiful on the inside, or it looks beautiful fully grown. So kind of like that, like your walk with Christ is like that. Like, yeah, it's gonna be ugly when you grow, and it's gonna get ugly because the devil's gonna attack you. But at the end, when you're fully like endowed in Christ, it's gonna be beautiful, especially when we get to go
Right.
home and see our Creator Redeemer.
Right. I feel like that plant also has to be in an environment where it has potential to grow in
Yeah,
Christ,
because if you
know?
put a plant in soil where it can't grow, it's not gonna grow.
Right.
So
That is
you have
true.
to have the right materials, which is a community.
Yes.
You have to have the right people behind you, and you have to have an open heart and an open mind
Yes.
to Christ for Him to hear
Yes.
you. And then
Absolutely.
you have to have the right supplements. Sometimes you got to add supplements to the soil, which are
Yes.
devotionals, worshiping,
Yes.
tithing, and then you got to have a good environment, which is church.
Yes.
Because if you don't have good environment like sunlight and water, then yeah, you're not going to grow.
That's true. That's definitely true. That
Look at me.
wow.
So-
See?
She coming with the quotables.
The light is shining on you.
She coming with the quotables. That's a real.
That is real. But I mean, a plant needs that type of environment, But I wonder if we have any questions. Does our audience out there have any questions for us? I want to see if they have any questions.
Are they
'Cause
talking? Y'all
yeah.
talking to us?
yeah, are y'all talking to us? We want to know what y'all feeling right now. Have you ever been through depression? If so, how did you get through it? What was your depression like? Are
We
you
do
still in that
only have
season?
a few minutes left though.
Oh yeah. Well,
But we still want to have some questions.
yeah.
No questions.
No questions.
That's okay.
Okay, that's all right. That's cool.
What's
All
up?
right, yeah. Ooh, that's a good one.
Ooh.
The question was, what do you recommend?
How do you recommend?
What do you
okay.
recommend
There you go.
that we're doing
Yes.
to
there
get
you
closer
go.
to God and hear
To
His
get
voice?
closer to God. There
to
we
hear
go.
His voice.
To hear His voice.
I'm right there with you because I question if He talks to me at all, because I feel like I'm just praying to the wind.
Right.
But it is a journey that I'm on myself right now. And I think you've got to be truly open. I feel like some people aren't truly open or listening. And I feel like that's my thing. I'm always so distracted. The other day, I fell asleep in the middle of a prayer. I mean, straight middle of the prayer. Just laid down in my bed talking about, dear God, thank you for... and then just silence.
I'm laughing because that's true.
And it's one of those things that, like, I'm always distracted. Like, my mind is always going a mile a minute. I have so much I have to think about. And I feel like I'm not giving him the time that he deserves. Like, I'm not clearing my mind of anything. So this morning I took it upon myself that during my shower, yes, I do my devotionals in the shower. It's the only time I get time to myself. I clear my head. It's completely silent besides the water running. And I just sit there. I don't even talk. I just go, I'm listening. And I do it almost every morning. And one day, he gonna talk to me. I just don't think he want to talk to me right now. Or I feel like maybe I don't think that I'm well endowed enough in my walk to know if he is actually talking to me. That's something. Yeah, I don't think I have spiritual maturity yet to know, because this is fairly new to me.
Yeah.
Like all of this. So I, like you said, the spiritual maturity, I just don't think I'm spiritually mature enough to know if he actually is talking to me.
And I feel like that takes time too.
It does.
Because I feel like in order to hear his voice, you have to be willing to listen. You know, everything has to be still. So I feel that. What about you, Darius?
I just want to say something similar to what you're saying. Mainly it's just being somewhere in isolation. So where, like you said, being somewhere in silence, where it's like in the shower or you just sit in a room, you know, in complete silence, somewhere where you're not distracted. And it's just simply asking the Lord, you know.
Right. I would say a combination of y'all's, you and Michaela's. I would say mine will definitely have to be when I'm in the car on my way to work. Before I even maybe before I even step out of the car to get into work, I'm like, okay, let me just take 10 minutes to just breathe and just be still. So I think that would be my moment to where I am just listening. But like you said, spiritual maturity comes. But I feel like that's a ongoing process to where you hear him in different forms, you know? So I would say that.
But the listening part is very important because God's going to tell you something that you might not want to hear at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
But you need to hear it.
That's real, yeah.
And see, I took Sister Linda's word. You know how she says she wakes up and does the devotional for like an hour? And all
Yeah,
of that.
I remember
so that's
that.
what I've been doing. I've been waking up early and doing that. But this was a good talk.
I like this.
I enjoyed this.
This was good.
I'm
this
so
is really
proud
good.
of us. I really am. Like, we are stepping out on faith. Do you hear me? We doing it.
I couldn't do it with two better people,
Oh,
for sure.
Don't make me cry on camera.
no, don't do that. I'm not. No.
No, seriously, because you know, I always desired to like do something with this with people who are closest to me. Like I wish like everybody who was closest to me, but you know that's not going to be everybody. But I'm glad, you know, the Lord saved some people.
Right. I feel
Besties
like
for the resties.
yes. I feel like God put us together for a reason. Because isn't it funny that we all were already up here before we even went to college and met each other? And then once we went to college and then graduated and went our separate ways,
real.
we still ended up being in the DFW area, so to say.
That's
you know?
real.
Isn't that crazy?
Mhm.
Oh, well, that's God. That's God for you.
That's God working.
So,
Well, we want to say thank you guys for watching us. Again, I'm Michaela,
I'm Darius.
I'm Kimbria.
and we want to thank you guys for tuning in. Have a great one. See you next Monday.
Bye.
Bye.